What if I told you that right now, as we speak, humanity is building a prison, not on the ground, but around the entire planet, and we might be sealing ourselves inside? In this explainer, we're going to look at the very real and very terrifying possibility that we are trapping ourselves on Earth.
Look, this isn't some sci-fi movie plot. It's not a problem for our great-grandchildren. It is a quiet crisis that is unfolding right now, hundreds of miles above our heads. A cage of our own making that's getting stronger with every passing day.
So, to really wrap your head around this threat, we have to start with one simple, absolutely mind-bending concept: speed. Because the real danger isn't just what's up there, it's how fast it's all moving.
Every single piece of junk, I'm talking everything from a dead satellite the size of a bus to a single dropped bolt, it's all rocketing through space at 17,500 miles per hour. That number is so big, it's kind of hard to even process.
Well, to put it into perspective for you, that's nearly 10 times faster than a bullet from a high-powered rifle. Just let that sink in. 10 times faster. That's the kind of insane destructive energy we're talking about, packed into every single tiny fragment.
So you're probably thinking, okay, but it's just space junk. How bad can a little piece of junk really be? And, that's a fair question. But when you're talking about the physics of orbit, size is, well, it's dangerously deceptive.
And get this actually happened. A tiny fleck of paint, no bigger than a flea, had so much kinetic energy that it slammed into the International Space Station and cracked one of its super-reinforced multi-layered windows. A single fleck of paint. Now just imagine what something the size of a pebble could do. Okay, so how much of this stuff are we actually dealing with? The latest estimate is just staggering. We think there are about 170 million pieces of debris circling our planet. And that's everything. Old satellites, used up rocket parts, tools that astronauts accidentally dropped, all of it forming this invisible storm of high-speed bullets.
But this is where it gets really scary. Of those 170 million pieces, we can only track about 27,000 of them, the really big ones. The overwhelming majority, they're totally invisible to us, flying blind, untracked, and moving at 10 times the speed of a bullet.
Now, this whole problem isn't just about dodging a stray bolt here and there. It's about how this problem can multiply. And scientists have a name for the absolute nightmare scenario where this whole thing spirals completely out of control.
It's called the Kessler Syndrome, and it's basically the point of no return. It's the theory that says once the junk in orbit gets dense enough, one collision could set off a self-sustaining chain reaction that we can't stop.
So here's how it plays out. It all starts with one unlucky collision. Maybe two big satellites hit each other. They don't just dent, they vaporize into thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of new pieces of shrapnel. That new cloud of debris then smashes into other satellites, creating even more debris, which, you guessed it, hits even more satellites. It's a cascade that just feeds itself, growing exponentially until low Earth orbit becomes a permanent lethal minefield. So let's just follow this train of thought to its final stop. What is the ultimate consequence if the Kessler Syndrome actually kicks off? What does that future really, truly look like for all of us? Well, the end game is frighteningly simple. The orbital lanes around Earth become so filled with deadly projectiles that launching anything or anyone through that cloud becomes impossibly dangerous. Our highway to space would be closed indefinitely.
I mean, really think about what that means for a second. A world where we can't launch new satellites for GPS, for global communication, for weather forecasting. A world where space exploration, our dream of visiting other worlds, it's just over. For centuries, maybe longer. It would look like that. One word: trapped. An entire species, with all of its cosmic ambitions and dreams, completely grounded, confined to our little blue marble, staring up at a sky that we can no longer reach.
And that really leaves us with the biggest question of all. With every new satellite we launch, with every piece of debris we create, are we just turning the key in that lock? Is this chain reaction inevitable? Now, there are people working on solutions, crazy ideas like giant space nets and lasers, but the scale of the problem is just immense. The real question is, can we clean up our act in time before we lock the door for good?